Today we want to show you some way to aim your traditional bow without a sight that I call the floating focus aiming. Hello and welcome to another video here from Germany. My name is Thomas. I do archery for such a long time that I've tried almost everything, and in the past year I shot a traditional bow. Usually I started archery shooting a compound, then shooting several different styles, like with a sight, without a sight, and I switched to bare bow and got last year to the challenge of shooting a traditional bow, meaning we are shooting without a rest and without a sight on that bow over the shelf, and we want to hit target as accurately as possible, of course. So the most intuitive way to shoot or to aim such a traditional bow is by bringing your tip of the arrow in relation to the target you want to hit. But this is not so easy because, for example, if you are using a split finger style, finger between your index finger above the nock, and you have an anchor that is fairly low, the distance between what you see when you look at the tip of your arrow to the target you want to hit is so big that it's really almost impossible to get that into some relation or to even measure some gap as you do in gap shooting, okay? But I wanted to shoot like this with a low anchor, okay? Because it's just a better archery form. Of course, I could have tried a 3-under technique and anchor higher with the arrow closer to my eye to close that gap, but this kind of shooting is actually ruled out in a lot of competition formats we have here in Europe, or maybe in the rest of the world. You have to shoot some bow styles with a Mediterranean grip, like a split finger style, okay? And of course, the more you bring up your anchor, okay, the less stable becomes your archery form, the way you put your body into the bow, okay? Down here, like in, for example, Olympic style archery, it's really stable, okay? If I would try to anchor here or here, you can even hear it in my voice. It's just harder, and it's really hard to make that a clean release and to shoot arrow after arrow with the same, for example, draw length or the same kind of release. Okay, so there are a lot of just technical things that indicate that a lower anchor and a stable posture is just the better way to shoot a bow that has no let off. Okay, and since I've been playing around with a lot of aiming techniques, from point of aim, gap shooting, split vision, everything, okay? And I always used to aim. So I had actually a problem by just shooting the bow the intuitive or the instinctive way, by just looking at the target and then just let it go and hope that it hits. I always aim, okay? So I developed a technique where I actually aimed through the bow. What do I mean with that? Well, let's make a little experiment. Put a finger in front of you and focus on the finger. What you see is one finger, okay? If you put that finger in front of you and you focus on something in the background or just some further away, for example, a archery target, well, you focus on something over there and your finger becomes kind of transparent and you see two fingers, okay? And what we experience in that situation is that, of course, we have two eyes, our brain makes one picture of it, but we see actually with two eyes, okay? And so you can trick your brain by focusing on something over there, holding your finger here, and then you see two fingers, okay? And if you close one eye, you can see only one finger, but you cannot focus on the thing you want to see in the back, for example, your target, okay? So, same thing happens if you shoot a bow. You hold it in front of you, okay? And if you, for example, focus, or for example, if you close one eye for aiming, okay, then you might want to focus on your tip of the arrow and the target you want to hit. But if you open both eyes, okay, then what you can try is to let your focus float from your bow to the target, okay? And what happens is that in this situation, you actually, it happens the same as what happens with our finger in our experiment. You see two bows and they become kind of transparent, okay? So, you're looking at the back of your bow. Then you focus on the target downrange. The bow becomes transparent. You can hold it with a certain way in relation to your target, okay? And most bows have some kind of a manufacturing thing or something you can really see really well. For example, this one I used last year has a tiller bolt and some screw from the back, and here there's a hole, okay? So I used that hole as for aiming, okay? Or for example, with another bow, like this one or this one, this has from the manufacturer just some clear line here, okay? So I shot several bows, and one bow I chose was actually some kind of bow like this that had this line here, okay? And it happened to be that when I got to full draw and anchored and looked at the target, that this line would actually would define a point on around 30 yards, maybe 35 yards, okay? So what I was able to do then is to hold a little beneath the target for the closer ones and holding over the target for the targets that were standing further down range, like over 40 yards, 50 yards. In 3D archery, usually in Germany, shoot up to 60 yards, okay? And what I actually did is somehow the same as what you do if you use a sight. Let me show you. Well, this is just some kind of a compound archery scope, okay? You have a lens, you have a dot, and if you connect it to your bow, you build it on your bow, you can elevate it or put it some more down for the further distances and all that. The point is, of course, you can, this is transparent, okay, this is made of glass. You can look through it just like that. It makes things really easy, okay? And the floating focus aiming technique, okay, is a way to make something that is actually not transparent appear as it was, okay? So you might try that at home. I would be pleased to hear how it works for you and hope to see you next time.